Boy, this sure is a nice city. I sure am enjoying my time here. Wait. Wait, no! League of Legends is certainly a game of all time, but Arcane is a series of all time. If you haven't watched it, go watch it now. Also, why are you here? I cannot guarantee this video will be spoiler free. I am obsessed with this series, so I've decided to combine it with another obsession of mine, Dungeons and Dragons. That's right. If you couldn't tell, I mean, you probably should be able to tell. So I'm taking several arcane characters and giving them D&D classes. These 3 specific arcane characters to be exact, so you know what you're expecting. And first up is gonna be our boy, Ekko, little man. This piece took me just over 2 hours. And before I finish the drawing, you guys should try and guess what class I gave him. You probably have an idea if you're familiar with D&D at all, but I will reserve from saying until the very end of the drawing process, which is going to be very hard for me because I want to talk about the design idea I had for him because it was so clear. So clear that I didn't even consider any other classes. I just said, yep, this is the one for him, and then did it. Little peek behind the curtain here. Never draw your hands over and over. Clip Studio, if you have that, has so many good references, and if you can't find good references, just draw your own and make your own sheet and then save it. Never draw the hands multiple times. In League of Legends, Ekko is an assassin, which you'd think would lean more into rogue, but his powers are of time. He can go back in time for specifically 4 seconds, which is something that I couldn't make work for a rogue of any kind. In Arcane, actually, there are several scenes that highlight Ekko and this ability. Even the show goes so far as to make the frame counts while he's on screen 4 seconds. It's cinematically beautiful. The entire, if you like art, go watch Arcane. It's so pretty. His color scheme I used for this piece is actually based on the Firelight Ekko because Firelight, the glow of magic. It worked. I think it fit. And in the game, he actually uses a clock hand as his weapon, which I have put strategically behind his back to be a staff. And with the final touches, I present to you Divination Wizard Ekko, or Chronomancy Wizard if you want to count the Wild Mount books, which I do, but not everybody does, so I'll say Divination Wizard for those people. And now that I've designed a wizard, I will not do another wizard this time, so keep that in mind for when you're making your guesses down at the bottom. Up next on my list is arguably the main character of Arcane, definitely the main character of her own world, Jinx. Now, Jinx took me almost double the amount of time at just under 4 hours, but I was doing this while talking to a friend about D&D, so that really slowed down my process. Now, I know what you're thinking. Jinx, that's definitely an artificer. However, all of them could be artificers. Every single person in Arcane would fit the type of artificer. So I made no one an artificer. Fair is fair, game is game. Originally, I was going to make Jinx the artificer since I didn't want to do more than one, but Valere actually suggested this class instead. So now I'm gonna call them over here so they can talk about why they chose this class without saying it.
So, Jinx, in League of Legends, holds the title of the loose cannon. She's unpredictable, the wild card. And with the decision to make no one an artificer, well, I got to brainstorming. Jinx is a master of hex tech, so if we're going to ignore the tech part of that, let's focus on the magic. Narrows it down to some kind of mage. Wizard is already out because Ekko has that class. And well, Jinx doesn't get her magic from any kind of higher power, so that rules out cleric, and warlocks, generally speaking, of course. And Piltover and Zaun aren't really the naturey kind of place. That means probably no druid, and no ranger, though I did really try to get ranger to work because I really wanted to keep the guns somewhere. But anyway, I was then led to sorcerer, the class that has inherent magic. And I realized that this works quite well. Instead of Shimmer giving her superhuman durability and speed along with her pink eyes, she instead gets magical powers. And still pink eyes. That is a character trait. Now, Jinx is in fact, as her name suggests, a Jinx. She's unlucky, prone to causing bad things to happen. And that helps me narrow down the subclass a little bit. On top of that, if you've seen Season 2, specifically Act 1 of Season 2, and you've seen what she makes for a certain somebody, there's only one subclass that fits that little bit of unluckiness with just a little bit of gambling. And with that, allow me to introduce to you Jinx as the
Wild magic sorcerer. Now, Valera's a little confused, but they do have the spirit. They weren't supposed to say sorcerer, but I wasn't here to stop them or catch it, so we're rolling with it, baby. I wanted to use like a shimmer orb filled with the gases of Zaun as her arcane focus, and have that very same gas rising off of her tattoos where they used to be. I saw her as getting her magic from the city itself. In the show, the gas is depicted to have like faces, and really the fear of the Zaunites is in the guess. In a literal sense, there's actually an entire demon thing. That's beside the point. That's League of Legends stuff that I will not get into. But yeah, wild magic sorcerer for her crazy and unexpectedness. And last but certainly not least is one of my favorite characters, and has been my favorite character since 2014 maybe, in League of Legends, that got highlighted in this show, and that is the Machine Herald himself, Victor. Now Yassified. Now I forgot to record the little initial bit of this sketch, but this drawing clocked in at almost 3 hours, but not quite. And I'm not 100% sure the exact time because I didn't record the initial bit of sketching. Now, for Victor, Valera and I went back and forth on the class a bit because we debated, but either way, we both agreed that they needed some sort of other entity involved with their class because of their interactions with the Arcane in the show. Now, in Arcane, the show Arcane, the Arcane is a mysterious force that is magic that the people of Piltover and Zaun spend the entire show trying to control, and then ultimately get controlled by, to sum it up as quickly and easily as I possibly could. Now, there are many ways to interpret this story, from it being a literal control to what power does to a man, but that's neither here nor there, because here we have this. Either way, in D&D, these ultimately end up being the same idea, whether it be an entity or just corruption of power. But either way, there is a gain of power for Victor here that I have interpreted as being magic. So yes, we have a third magical class, ladies and gentlemen. We got there. We did it. Mage supremacy. And since wizard and sorcerer are both out of the way, what could possibly be left? Oh, I don't know, since artificer's also off the table. I'm hinting at there only being 1 or 2 classes left. So let me introduce to you Victor, the Great Old One's warlock. That's right. Has Victor made a deal with some sort of otherworldly entity? Or has he simply come into his own magic? He certainly doesn't know, and neither do you, and that's the fun part. And here is the party all lined up next to each other, and if you take a look, you'll notice that we have only magical spellcasting classes here. These players did not communicate with their DM or each other before picking classes, but there's still several arcane characters left for us to do. So who do you think would fit a tank or a marshal? Maybe a healer? Cleric? Paladin? I don't know. You guys should send me suggestions down below, and I might do this again because it was really fun, and we can't just have a party of 3 spellcasters, am I right, guys? I could see Caitlyn as a ranger, or maybe Vi as a barbarian. I don't know, but I will leave you guys to think on it, and we'll figure it out next time. Anyway, and I will see you all at the next phase of the moon. Good night, and goodbye.